at the end of the day, in a week, we've seen cars go up and ranges be reduced. Stop continuing the net zero con and start accepting that the community doesn't need to be punished so that a minority of entitled zealots can feel appeased. G'day everyone, welcome to the Bothy. I'm Chris.
G'day, I'm Al.
So we did a video on the new vehicle emissions standard a few months ago and what that meant for Australian car buyers, where the car manufacturers would have to meet a certain standard and reduce their emissions.
Yep.
And if they didn't, they were going to be fined. And we were told at the time that this would not mean that cars would become unavailable or that prices would go up. We were told that by the government. We were told that by the Greens. We were told that by websites.
And we know that history tells us the government never lie.
Never.
Never, ever lie.
Never lie.
No.
So let's just refresh a little bit on some of those lies. First of all, it's not a tax.
Not a tax. No. What's this one called?
A standard.
Oh, it's a standard.
Yes.
So a standard is now a tax.
Correct.
Right.
On the Australian Government infrastructure.gov.au website, they have a whole rundown on what this NVES means. And they've got a whole lot of Q&A on it.
Yep.
They said back in the day, at the start of the year, will the standard increase the price of cars? No. There's no evidence to suggest
no evidence
that
at
cars
all.
will go up.
No.
Will the standard ban vehicle models?
No.
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 The standard will not ban any vehicle models.
None will be.
In fact, it'll give us more choice
What?
of fuel-efficient vehicles.
More choice? Fuck. I tell you what, this government are on it, mate. They are great. Really good.
Is this a carbon tax on cars?
No.
No.
Because it's a standard.
It's a standard. It's not a tax.
It's not a tax. Don't be silly.
Aren't electric vehicles worse for the environment?
To build, yes.
No.
No.
They're not.
So
And
all that
within 12
research we
months-
did,
Right.
we were wrong.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Within 12 months, if you have an EV, within 12 months, you have made back all the emissions it costs and takes to make that
Yes.
vehicle by running it on electricity.
Bollocks.
Only if you charge it with green energy.
Right.
They say that if you charge it from the grid, it's 2 years and then you're neutral. But we know
Well,
that is a lie.
going by what Volkswagen did, and it was 125,000 kilometres before they leveled
Break
off.
even. The Climate Council, Amanda Mackenzie, the CEO of the Climate Council, I'm shouting out to you to correct the lies on your website. My question to you is, would you like to retract your lies, your fabrications, and your propaganda and replace it with facts? Is that too much to ask? Stop continuing the net zero con and start accepting that the community doesn't need to be punished so that a minority of entitled zealots can feel appeased.
Yep.
Please replace the rubbish you have got on your Climate Council website. Let's go through some of that rubbish, shall we?
There is a lot to look at.
Their article, Don't Get Sucked In. Here's a rundown of the biggest porkies about the new vehicle standards.
Standard.
Not tax.
No tax.
And the facts that set them straight. The ABC, in February last year, stated this: we're concerned that this gets in front of the technology curve, and that means that vehicles will be more expensive, or we won't be able to provide the same vehicles to the market in certain segments.
So we just know the ABC did that.
ABC,
So,
the propaganda machine.
wow, they done some good journalism there.
Well, they asked a question.
Yeah.
That's what journalists do. So the Climate Council...
Not for a long while.
No, true. The Climate Council then asked in their Q&A and debunking, a new vehicle efficiency standard would drive up the price of cars. The facts. This is on their website as the facts. People who live in places that already have such standards have access to more car options that are cheaper and cleaner to run.
Where?
Well, she uses the USA as the standard. And it goes, I'm not going to read through the rubbish, but it goes on to say effectively that what the ABC is saying is wrong.
Oh, really?
It does.
Oh, okay.
The Grattan Institute found that there would be minimal increase, so there is an increase, to the average cost of new cars in Australia under the NVES, at most up to $500 or 1%.
Well, that seems pretty reasonable. $500.
This is more than compensated in the fuel savings. So the NVES, mate, has been in for 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
Ford have already put the base model Mustang, which is their actual economical 6-cylinder version, up $5,000.
Not 500.
Not 500.
Are you sure you've just added a nothing on that, right?
No. $5,000. Now, Ford were then asked, why are you putting the vehicles up from 1 July? Ford said, because of the NVES. We're going to be fined and penalised, so the cars have to go up. So that's the start of it.
Yeah.
You know what comes next, mate.
Yep.
The utes.
Yep.
So $5,000 on the base model.
Base model.
Has already gone up. Not 500. 5,000 is their new standard.
5,000.
Toyota. Australia's, for a long time, favourite
Little Corolla.
The little
I
Corolla.
love the Corolla.
Me too.
It's nice to drive.
Yep.
It's basic, but it just gets you from A to B.
Never
and
breaks
it's
down.
cheap.
It is. Cheap to run.
Cheap as chips.
Cheap to buy.
Yeah.
I remember when they were $19,990.
Wow.
Yeah, that's going back away. We've got a Corolla in our family.
Yeah, they're great cars.
We love them.
Yeah.
So you can no longer buy a petrol Corolla in Australia from 1 July.
Well, a hybrid.
You buy a hybrid. Yeah, but not a petrol.
Not a just petrol.
Not a petrol Corolla.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks ago, a Corolla, cheapest Corolla, was about $29,000.
Still reasonable.
Now it's $38,000.
How much did they put up?
Well, they didn't pull it out. They just withdrew all the petrol models.
Oh.
And they've sent them
because they didn't want to get fined.
Because they don't want to get fined.
Oh.
They can't hit their targets with petrol cars.
So are they giving us more choice?
No. They've removed the whole range, mate.
But she said we get more choice.
Yeah. At the end of the day, in a week, we've seen cars go up and ranges be reduced. Yep. Ford Mustang and Toyota Corolla, you can't buy a petrol Corolla anymore. It's not available. And the cheapest Corolla is now $9,000 more than it was 2 weeks ago.
Jesus.
So we asked the Australian government and the climate activists to come out and tell us some truth. We're 1 week in. What do you think's going to happen next week? Utes are going to be dearer.
Yep.
Family cars are going to be dearer. Everything's going to be dearer.
Yep.
Because you have to pay the penalty. The car manufacturers aren't making great margins at the moment. They are not going to eat this one. They're going to pass it on to us.
The consumers.
Yeah.
We're all going to get flogged again.
Yeah, exactly right.
Great.
There's been so much misinformation about this.
Oh.
But now it's actually here. We start to see the truth. So, Amanda and the Climate Council, can you please respond by letting us know what you now think of cars going up $5,000 and other cars that have been the lifeblood of Australian families for cheap, reliable cars no longer available to buy in this country. Thanks a lot for that. For
Good
your
on you.
lies and your misinformation.
Good on you, Amanda.
Good on you, Amanda. Let us know what you think, people. Thanks, everyone.
See you guys.